Man, you can go anywhere in the world to get a couple of lies, but you come right here to get the truth. The truth. Tell them that we coming. Just tell them that we coming. Lock it in. Lock the door.
Because the game is going to send you a bill. Peace to the gods and the earths. What's up, Daude? What up with you, Mel? Shit.
It is there, man.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's called the 80s versions of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That's what them clicks doing.
Three
You know
times,
what I mean?
3 ways, and
Yeah.
put it together, Malik.
Yeah,
You know how that
it's
goes.
7 days, 7 ways, top side up, still ink wet on the motherfucking check. You have now arrived at the Truce podcast. I am part of many, the trio, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Subscribe, like, and share. We're gonna have to fight over those positions, by the way, gentlemen, because that share shit ain't working. I'm one of the many mindsets of this show. My name is Malik Spellman. You know, I damn near forgot my name just now.
Damn, that already.
It's called selective amnesia. And got over here to my right, the official Mel, the motherfucking postman. Postman. How many times did the postman ring?
Twice.
So why you only rung once when my bitch was at home?
Hey, man.
She know you that well, you only ring once, huh? Ling long.
I decided to leave that alone.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's crazy that I was gonna tell y'all? I had to do some research. When you see Kendrick Lamar's show come on, right, that new one, they not like us. They not like us. And then you got Tommy and the thing, you know, shout out to Tommy the Clown. And then they got that knock.
What does that knock mean?
That's called the barbershop knock.
But it has another meaning
What's the
as
root
well.
of it?
It's
That means like when LAPD used to grab your ass back in the days, that's a knock they play. So it's all significant. It's all symbolic to something.
It's definitely symbolic.
But there's a lot of symbolism in that, as well as symbolism in some of the conversations going on about our president, Mr. Donald Trump, president-to-be, who was attempted to be assassinated, not by character this time, but by physical being and thrust. And I think it's important that we make some sort of comparison.
Was it assassination or imagination?
It was, what do you think it was, Doc?
I mean, it could be both.
I think on behalf of the killer, he didn't move that fast. It looked like it was just a little bit of procrastination because he thought about that before that 30 grain hit his ass upside his head, that 200 grain. But I just think it's important that, you know, we kind of make a correlation. Is that the right word they use in the world of academia?
Correlation.
Yeah, correlation. I got that from off online too. But yeah. But it's kind of interesting. Like in my office, I got these pictures, right? And you've been in my office several times. I got Tupac, Biggie Smalls, Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and somebody else.
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
Is that your extraordinary group of men?
No, it's an extraordinary group of men that have something in common. They were all assassinated.
Explain the commonality.
The commonality is they were assassinated for standing up for what they thought was right. All the people on my wall are images of dead men that have stood up for what was right and have been assassinated physically, mentally, and verbally.
How about this, Malik? A lot of what we think is right and wrong is really just American. If you look at it in the context, the American flag is red and white. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party also represent red and blue. Red and blue. I mean, go back to the flag, red and blue in the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, red and blue. Then when you get to the Crips and Bloods, what do they represent? Red and blue.
But you forgot
but
something.
hold on. When the police get behind you, what color do they represent? Red and blue. So is that more just being American, or is that just a delusion, or that's an illusion by me feeding into red and blue?
Well, the red and blue star has always been significant, and they know the psychological effects of color coding. Like when you see the brothers on the police car, they got them on the part that's black that says serve, and then in the middle it says protect. You know what I mean? So they always got some sort of mechanism in place that's symbolic in some sense or another. And like when you said red and blue, you got to remember the only thing I really think that keep red and blue fighting against each other, whether it be politics or Crips and Bloods, is that white in the middle, that cocaine. So you got red, white, which is that cocaine, and blue, or white folks that's just oppressors.
But it's all tied in together. You use the word correlation. It has a correlation because, listen, there's no longer a Black Panther Party in the context that it was represented during the 60s. There's no organizations. There's no black movements that came from that era, right? That you can point at that's still around today. But yet the Crips came about in 1969, and it's 55, well, August 11th, it'll be 55 years. How are they still? Is it because they more American than all the other groups? Because look at it. Did we really create the Crips and Bloods? Or were we led to that, down that path? Because since then, we have all been distracted by the acquisitions and the implement of Crip and Blood. We're very distracted by that because if you look at today's internet, it's all that, and they arguing. They're not arguing in the streets no more. They arguing on the internet. So how do we view that at this point? Is that American? What I'm saying, that's more American than what we possibly may believe.
The American system and the infrastructure. When you look at, I look at red and blue, and I look at the history of the culture as reference to Bloods and Crips, who represent red and blue, and that was quite interesting. You said that, and you use that. Then Malik using the correlation. What's the correlation between Crips and Bloods, and how this culture have outlasted a lot of these pro-black organizations that was holding people accountable and fighting for the liberation of black.
So we have to ask why.
Yeah, the why, the reason why, the why. You know what I'm saying? It falls back into the whole thing about the criminal justice complex and the industries. You know, Crip and Blood have lasted that long, and because it has a pay number that's tied to it. If we look at the coding behind Crip and Bloods and what it symbolized in America, it symbolized wealth, not for us, but for the system itself.
Right. Because it feeds the system.
Yeah, it feeds the system. So they keep it around a long time because it have generated so much revenue from the activity of it. You know, crime, prisons, probation, law enforcement budgets, and they use that gang. And when you hear gangs on the West Coast, first thing you think about is Crip and Bloods. And so, you know, the history of it and the correlation, it all goes back into money. And that's what it's all about. Politics, to me, is about the flow of money, the flow of our trillions of dollars that they collect in taxes and how this money is to be spent, both domestically and both foreign. And, you know, for the poor people that's a part of the Democratic Party, these are poor people because they call themselves representative poor. But it's so much money that's tied to poor people, and it's like, who's controlling it? You know, who's controlling the economy of poor people? Who's controlling the economy of the Democratic Party? And why was President Trump, you know, with that attempted assassination on his life? What's going on?
So let's drive that train back into the station and look at it, because there was a Secret Service agent by the name of Jonathan Willis. Jonathan Willis was ordered to stand down because he had the perp in sight for over 3 minutes, and he was asking to take the shot, and he was told not to take the shot, but he took the shot anyway. And at this point, based on my information and understanding, that he has actually been fired. So they're not going to put that out there on the media, on the mass media, because what is the United States good at? Is covering up, hiding, keeping away, and giving the public just enough to keep them going versus giving them the reality. What's behind the appearance is always the reality.
Here it is. Should we say United States because that's us? And I know we're not covering them anything, because the United States represents a corporation, it represents the citizens, represents the Constitution, and it's for the people, by the people. This is the country we live in. So it's the freedom of the people that's exalted above the hierarchy, which is supposed to be the system itself that's supposed to be governing the people as it relates to our tax money. So when we look at the cover-up, should we point ourselves out to the media? You know, and media is not even though it's a part of our system, but it's a powerfully ran industry that's controlled by individuals. So if we look at the media and what they cover up and what they allow us to see, it's like, I mean, what's really going on? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we throw blame on ourselves when we say United States or citizens, but we don't identify the actual source of this cover-up. And I think it goes all the way back to the people that's controlling media.
Well, therefore, we don't have no dog in the fight, and we have to recognize that we don't have a dog in the fight. But I want to come back to Malik. Malik, what do you think about this Donald Trump situation? Because due to the trajectory and the grain of bullet that was used, that was shot allegedly and pierced his ear or went through his ear, I'm saying this: if that type of bullet hits you from that distance, part of the ear is coming off, or the whole ear is coming off. You don't just, do that, duck down and get pump your fists up and like everything is peaches and cream. No, I don't buy into that. But I'd like to hear what your thoughts is on that.
Well, I think that the trajectory of any sort of projectile coming towards you at the rate of speed that an AR-15 bullet would come, it's like a 500 something grain or something like that. 505, don't quote me on it, 550 grain. Just the velocity of that bullet itself is capable of shutting down a car engine. So when you get a situation where your character has been assassinated, like Mr. Trump, and you got to know that right after character assassination comes physical assassination. So what he's dealing with right now, like so many of us, is principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. We'll never figure out whether it was a movie or whether it was some sort of conspiracy, because those that are in high places that we don't even need to make mention of their name, other than the fact we can see the conditions they left our people, they have a different Manchurian experiment in place for him. That's why they came out with that movie, mind control, AI. Alteration of the ones.
The Manchurian candidate.
Yeah, these candidates. So when you see these trial errors on TV and they're like, yo, your nose won't stop bleeding. You can get $1,500 to let us wipe your nose. And these trial error experiments, you got a lot of people out there that's on trial error shit because they rent due. And then trial error commercials for medicines, they only come on the weekday, like when Jerry Springer and shit like that's on, when the EBT, BET crowd at home and don't have nothing to do. So it's a lot of people that's getting caught up in shit that's deep. Now, don't get me wrong, America put a man on the moon and never went there. So for Trump to get an Oscar, he is a TV actor, but that take a lot of acting, so he should have been over there on Russ Ranch with them niggas. They just pulled the same move on Russ Ranch.
Well,
it's all the same get down.
I think the saddest thing about that is that, man, regardless of the person's, vision of how he want to, make our lives great, because he said, make America great. And being that we are national citizens here by our birth certificates, ties us nationally to this country. So when he speak upon that, it speaks to the heart of those who are born here, because no matter what we do and what we claim ourselves to be in this country, because of the lack of understanding of what it is to be American, a lot of us push away from that. But if you look, anywhere else in the world, everybody's running and dying to get here, while we are, as Black Americans, are pushing away from these titles and saying that don't reflect us. When it reflect us, because when we go out the country, we go anywhere else, they're going to label us Americans. So when the man speak of making America great, he's talking about making us great, because we can't change what happened in 1542 and 1547. The Constitution wasn't even thought of at that time. Constitution wasn't incorporated until 1776, and the way it happened was through a revolution, through war, and through bloodshed, to give us our independence as a country, which was good, because you had European expansion, you had the gold rush that caused all this madness, and the way media, again, have represented that has been from a totally false pretense. And so when you are being fed falsehood all your life, you never know what the truth is until you experience it. And like I say, the saddest thing is that even though, this man is running and a lot of people hate him, a lot of people love him, the issue is that him still being a person, being a father, and having grandkids.
Or he believe in God,
and having grandkids, right? And seeing your kids and your wife, seeing that someone is attempting to take your life away.
Is media a drug?
That really was touching to me. And yes, media is definitely a drug, because it has the way to socially engineer a person's thought and their behaviors, especially if you never had truth.
Right,
you
right,
know.
right.
So it's dangerous.
And
in
the
a
way
sense.
and the way I see things in terms of Biden and Trump, I think that black people shouldn't be supporting either one. We should be more in tune with reparations and understanding who we are, because there's too many of our people have the lack of knowledge, and we're just outright information poor, and that's why we get into all this silliness. You know, we following two individuals that Biden said called us super predators, and Trump put out a article in the New York Times on the what is it, Central Seven, the Central Park 7 calling for their for them to be executed. So what I'm saying is that when those things come out of these individuals' mouths, that's their truth. That's their truth, and they can't take it back because they said it. So I'm saying that we, as a people, should not be we should be focused on reparations and tangibles. If it's not tangible, it's not real. It's not real to us.
Well, who are we seeking reparation from? So that's one of the greatest conversation piece that's missing from.
We seeking reparations from the corporations, the DuPonts, the Carlyle groups, the Rockefellers, Chase, Manhattan, whatever, all these big corporations, even the stock exchange.
Because
Rothschilds, we was
understand,
traded on the open market, so therefore the open market owe us our money.
We have to understand this, that America, before European have expanded here, before 1542, because the Spaniards came in 1542 and they said they discovered this part of the hemisphere from the southern borders.
You can't discover anything.
So we
that's
talk about
already
Juan
inhabited.
Cabrillo, who was sponsored by Henry VIII, the King of Spain. Then we had the Queen, who sponsored Drake, who sailed on the Golden
Sir Francis
Pelican.
Drake.
Who said that he discovered America on the northern shores. So you have two brothers and sisters, because Henry VIII was married to Queen Mary's sister. So there was a relationship there. There was correlation.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Does this bloodlines tie back into why we have certain particular individuals that have been in presidency or people that have been in control of United Snakes? I call it United Snakes, but some people might look at
It's
it.
imperialism. It's colonial possession. And so the colonization came in really, and slavery really kicked in during 1849 when they discovered the value of gold, which sparked a mass migration from Europeans all across the world that descended upon this continent, and then took the Aboriginals, who was the original people who was here prior to 1542, because all this stuff goes back to migration. The migration from Arabia, the migration during the Ice Age that went across the Atlantic Strait and the Indian Ocean and all these other mountain ridges and stuff like that. So we have to, as Aboriginals, I'm an Aboriginal, I'm not indigenous. And we didn't come on ships. We was here, we was already naked, and they forced us into this identity so they could be able to have control over it. Because when you control a person, you control their religion, their way of life, their food, and anything else. It's like a 360 deal. You know what I'm saying? In entertainment, when they control your likeness, which is powerful. When someone's in the control of that and they didn't paid, to have those rights. And so it's like, we have to go back really as a race of people when we speak on this subject about reparation. If we as Black Americans decide to say we want reparations, where is the money coming from? Because the citizens of this country finances the government that operate and controls the country. So basically, are we asking for reparation from ourselves? Because when LAPD gets sued, they don't sue LAPD, they sue the citizens. And if you're suing the United States of America, you're suing the citizens.
Because here's the thing, the United States is printing money every day. Why do we pay taxes if they can just print money?
Yeah. Then if it loses
why is it
value,
necessary to even pay
money?
taxes? If you can just print money, why do I need to pay taxes? You just print money. There's no gold standard anymore. So therefore, coming back to Donald Trump again, Malik, so how does Donald Trump how does Donald Trump actually make America great? Or is that just a farce, or there's just something going on inside his head and don't exist nowhere else?
Well, those are the operative words right there, those that are going on inside of his head. And when you look back at the history of the Trump family, he was reared by his father, him and his brother, under two circumstances. And his father told him, you guys are killers and kings. So they knew right then and there that they were different. And they knew what comes with being a killer and a king. We're killers and kings. The little homies in the hood that's shooting, they're killers trying to transition into kings. Then we got some kings that kill, that's killing for justice. You know, you touch somebody's child, you do something foul, you got to rule the village and rule in favor of social annihilation on somebody. So the same mentality that he has from his father saying to his brother George and them, you guys are killers and kings. That speaks volumes to the fact that, one, you're not going to know which way the wind's going to blow in this life. You better represent where we come from, Germany, and how we get in and how we're taught to think. Do for self, but we can apply it back to not only the character assassination of black men and women in America, but the literal assassination of gang members in the streets who are kings, but they're killers as well. You see, that's why you see Q's record was America KKK or something like that. So when you get this type of mindset and you get a rite of passage that's balanced, because this is a season for everything. When I was mentioning the Crips and Bloods earlier, you know, and whatnot, that's a geographical thing for now because it originated here in Los Angeles, but it spread throughout the United States and the world. But in other parts of the world where they got in Chicago or Detroit or Arizona, where they got different circumstances, the Crips and Bloods can fit right in. But the circumstances that'll make you a GD or a vice lord or something else is totally on the contrary than what we deal with here in LA. So everybody has a rhyme or reason. America got the military, the FBI, the LAPD. Crips and Bloods is just a military without no general. That's it. So when you start seeing these type of correlations between the lives of the Trumpsters and them type of people, you know, them people was raised to survive like all human beings that come on earth.
Well, what I like about the Trump and the family and the history of his family is that a lot of them came over here during the gold rush era. You know, his family, his great-grandfather migrated from Germany. He was on one of those ships when, like I say, when the whole gold rush and the discovery of the value of gold over here in America, a lot of them came on ships. And I was reading a story about his grandfather who came on one of those ships, his great-grandfather who came on his grandfather who came on one of those ships. And it was the Rothschilds at the time who was financing all these explorations for people who was discovering gold. They said that when someone discovered the gold, the Rothschilds would come in because he was the financier, he was the big money guy, and he would go and, hey, I'll pay. And they would go and get the money, and they would go find places and get the shovels and start digging, and the majority of the gold would go to them and some would go to the people of the miners. And they said when Trump's father got here from Germany, you know, he was one of those guys that
Trump.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Fred Trump. It was his grandfather. Oh. Fred was his father. You know what I'm saying? And so it was Fred's father. You know, so this is how it started because they was always builders. Mm-hmm. And so when he came, they said he didn't go dig for not one piece of gold. He didn't find no gold, but he did go to the Rothschilds and he used reverse psychology because he know this man. Once he heard gold, he was writing a check. Yeah. So he went to the Rothschild guy and told the Rothschild, hey, man, I found gold. And so Rothschild wrote a check, you know what I'm saying? And so he took the check and the money, but instead of going looking for gold, it was in Connecticut where all the miners was located at, and he went and built houses all along the corridor of the year because a lot of them didn't have houses.
Providing homes.
And also, not only that, he set up saloons. Mm-hmm. And he also had brothels because he had to service the workers who was out there working, and that's
provided the entertainment.
He was able to make his
and
money,
the horse meat for food.
And so his family have always been builders. It's an American dream, you know, because America in 1776, after the overthrow of England, the colonization in Spain, America became an independent nation in 1776 up under the War of Independence. And so all these migrants who migrated here for the gold rush came here looking for, you know, opportunity to become somebody. And that family took that history of being builders and providing housing and services and then took that as years went over and started building, like Fred Trump, built up all of New York. You know, build up the high rises. And like I said, these guys was like actually builders and knowing how to facilitate and knowing how to get things done. And so that's what the history of this whole Trump and the mentality of Trump is, knowing how to get things done without accepting no. You know, and if you're, you know, when his father was passing away, he had a brother named Fred Trump Jr., who was actually supposed to took over the Trump organization. but he wasn't able to do what Donald Trump did at the time. And so his daddy was like kind of mad at him because his daddy is like, man, I raised you guys as kings and killers. You know, either you go in and kill and get it done, or you're a loser. And we're not accepting no losers. And so Fred Trump became an alcoholic because his daddy wasn't giving him the approval like he wanted. And then when Donald came, Donald was just a different beast.
So that explains when Donald Trump stated this: I can kill anybody in broad daylight on Fifth Avenue and not lose no voters. He felt very confident in that.
But you
and again, let me finish. America suffered from attention disorder, a deficit disorder, right? Because he said that not long ago, but seems like nobody brings that point up. Is that this man literally told the whole world that I can shoot somebody in broad daylight on Fifth Avenue and not lose voters. Why did he feel so confident about that, Malik?
Because the mindset that his father gave him was that, again, you're kings and killers and kings. And oftentimes when white folks speak in code, metaphorically speaking, you know, they talking about killing the business, you know, killing the Wall Street. You know what I mean? Being a king in your own space. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out and commit a physical act.
Yes.
But if it comes down to it, you know, their thing was to conquer. See, a man's job is to conquer. You know, I beat that fool ass. I started a business. I built this house. I trained this dog. I cracked this broad. You know, a woman's job is the covenant. My man, my house, my kids, you know, my jewelry, me, find me. So when you raised as an alpha male in a household that come from being hungry, and then your daddy tell you, look here, man, these are the options, man, because see, language then was different like it is now. When me and you was growing up, you had to write laughing out loud the whole word, the whole sentence. Now it's just LOL or LAMA, so linguistically speaking, back then that applied to something totally different. We don't know if he committed a homicide or not, but his father's letting him know, if you step on this road right here, it's a chance you're going to have to step on these toes to get to where you're going, and you might have to knock something down. I mean, you fucking with New York. So nice they named it twice. I'm a native New Yorker, and he's from Jamaica, Queens, like me. So I understand the mindset of survival. But on the contrary, two things I learned from prison. When you see white folks fighting each other, we kick back and mind our business because there's less traffic. Stay in your own lane. So I ain't really tripping off Democrat or Republican. I like to see him checking them because what I say to them ain't going to apply. They know what they did to me because they did it. So when you see two European groups going at it like that, the reason blacks is applauding Trump because now you officially became the nigga that you made us. You had your character assassinated, you got indicted, you got shot at, they took your money, talked about your bitch, tried to break up your family, so now you're a product of your own environment. But I've never seen one white person that could facilitate, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if America was to give back the black man and send him back to Africa, you'd have to take every go-kart, mini bike, light bulb, fork, spoon, because we invented everything. So when you make reference to the fact that psychologically, on one hand, you got Europeans and other foreigners coming over here, welcome to America, by the way, and they claiming this is their own. I've never seen a white man say, I'm European American. I've never seen a Chinese say, I'm Chinese American. He said, I'm Chinese, because they're not nationalized like us. We always saying, I'm African American. What about if you lived in Saudi Arabia? Would you say you Texas American? So white people don't do that. We run around. So what he's saying is that if we just don't grab that flag, they want us to think, y'all niggas ain't got no investment in this, shut your ass up, this ain't. But if a couple of us stay back and say, nah, man, I'm American, then we can fight on both ends. We should be in the Democratic and the Republican
One
party.
thing we shouldn't always take to heart is what the media says, because Trump is fighting the media. And the people that's behind the media, you have a red and blue. On one side for broadcasting, you have the Redstones,
Fox,
who are all German rooted. Then on
Some
the
of
other
the
side, the
Redstones,
recording side of it, you have the blue, which is the British, who controls the recording associations. And then you
British
have the
broadcasting.
FCC, which is America, which is us. And so taking things out of context with the media is what they do, because they want to drive a narrative. Because they want you to believe and start coming from your own thought based upon your own personal experiences. We can't use our personal experiences and equate it to what Trump is saying, because it's different. Like Malik said, you know, what Trump means has a total different meaning from what we experience as people. When we hear the word killer and stuff, we thinking about the people in our neighborhoods and the people that we grew up around who did shit out of ignorance. But when they talking about it, they talk about business, they talk about contracts, they talking about things to put themselves above everybody else when you're competing. Because competition in America has always been what it is, red and blue. These two people are controlling and competing on who's going to control the thought and the direction of tax money in America, whether it stays in America or whether it goes to foreign countries. And most of the people who's the billionaires are global nationalists. And that's how they get their money, when they allow the money to flow outside the country. And so when you look at what took place in World War II and World War I and all these other different wars, it was about the control of the money and the control over the people's thought. So how do you control a person's thought? Especially a person who, is not, really in tune with their discernment and who could really do the research on what people are saying or what's happening with politics. These people are like lame duck. That's why they call them the 85%. 85% represent the blind, deaf, and dumb. Yeah. I can advertise you something and they'll tell you McDonald's got poison, but you still eat it. That means you what? You're blind, deaf, and dumb. And so when we take stuff in and when you hear the media saying things, you hear them chop and take stuff out of context and driving home a certain narrative, they're focusing on the thought of Black Americans through algorithms. Because they know people are watching. They tracking the tracing just on what you watching, what you tapping on now.
Oh, yeah,
and so you
absolutely.
have to be very careful in an environment that's like that.
I think what Donald Trump is really great at is chicanery, using a trickery to attain a political victory or purpose. I think that best sums him up. And he's a musician, man. And he got people under a spell, obviously, because you got people that's buying into him. But here's the thing. What is his purpose? What is his ideology? Where is his agenda going? So what I'm seeing is cult of personalities. Biden is one cult of personality. Trump is another cult of. But what is their agendas? What is their vision for America? So if you're looking at these different individuals and you're not looking at what their agenda is or what their purpose is to drive this country, then you really don't understand what it is that's going on, because these guys have agendas and they have purpose and they have political influences that are behind them, telling them, like the Stephen Miller and the Bannon, and I'm just using those as examples. But then, like when Bush had Cheney and all those guys and Karl Rove, those guys pushed the narrative and pushed the agenda of the country. So what I'm thinking is that Black people don't fully understand, and they get caught up in cult of personality. Yeah. And when you caught up in cult of personality, you're really not seeing the bigger picture.
Our biggest downfall is our local representation that's representing us on that level, such as the Black Caucus in D.C., such as our elected officials.
Well, they
so them people right there is highly responsible for the reason why Black folks are 85% blind, deaf, and dumb, because everything is in the book. Every president, every administration has a domestic agenda and a foreign agenda. Every last one of them, and you have to read them. And so most Black folks don't want to read. And most Black folks having trouble with even reading and even comprehending the American language, especially if it's in legal context.
You think if they really read that Project 2025, would they?
That's another thing that was concocted by the Democratic Party to try to again. That's another thing they throwing at Trump, and it's not going to stick, because his agenda says two things, and it's very simple: America first, and make America great. And like I say, it goes all the way back to people are under and comprehending what that means, because most people are going to say slavery.
I understand.
They're going to say slavery. It goes to slavery. We're slaves.
No, I understand that.
Here it is.
Is that the truth or is that
Can't
a lie?
nobody in this generation justify slavery if Truce was never made as a movie, because that's the only thing they have references to, because we was never enslaved. We was colonized. We was colonized.
During the time that they talk about slavery, it was impossible to put 400
we was
people
colonized.
on boats.
We was
they
colonized.
Didn't have no ships. They
wasn't no ships.
400 and 200 and 300 people.
That. So that means
best they could carry 10 to 15.
That means that was a false narrative.
Yeah,
so we need to throw it out the window when it's false, because if you still biting on it, no matter what it do, that's just like if this tree is poison and you, I'm gonna cut this branch off, I'm gonna cut that leaf off, I'm gonna cut that off, still gonna grow back. Because the root of it is poison. You got to pull the damn thing up and get rid of it and burn it. And so when you get falsehood, you can't chew on it and you can't try to make sense of it, because at the root of it is false. So we got to understand we have to understand this, that there's a domestic agenda and there's a foreign agenda. Foreign agenda, how does that benefit us as a people? They always say democracy. What the hell? We never ask the question, what the hell is democracy? But we'll run around, we'll take it, and we'll be talking about it, and we never research the word, where it came from, and what it meant, and who is the author of that word. Because he knows what it is, we don't. Mm-hmm. So we can't keep, like I said, this media is dangerous today because there's no control over the media because they're being monopolized by corporations of individuals who run these corporations who are benefiting off the broad economy and selling you goods or getting you to listen to
That's why I say this,
things.
that the trees don't mingle with the grass just because they both came from the ground don't make them even.
No, but both of them serve a purpose.
Mm-hmm. And they both come from the ground.
Both of them serve a purpose, and here it is.
But they don't mingle.
But here it is. What's natural and unnatural. Medicine is unnatural. So no medicine in the world is going to cure you from an illness because it's unnatural. The basis of it is poison and acid. Mm-hmm. Your body is a natural thing that needs everything photosynthesis from the sun, from the soil, and the water. That's why trees live a long time. Because you don't see a tree taking no medicine. Yeah. We take medicine and we wonder why we die even after taking the medicine because the basis of the medicine is poison. And you can't cure yourself by eating poison. It's unnatural. So we look at the things that's natural compared to the things that's unnatural. Media is unnatural because it's about ad and advertisement to get you to buy or get you to believe, to justify yourself,
feed into the
part of continue to support the bullshit.
The consumer frenzy. Because if you look at it, all the holidays are economy boosters for this country.
That's all it is. It's corporate. Yeah. All the religions is corporate. Right. Every religion in this country is corporate because you have an IEN number active and it has a code. 501c3, 50c4, 50cx, and it's all coded. It's a corporate religion. So there's no truth in that because it's tied to corporations. It's tied to you emptying your pockets. It's tied to you giving your will up to something that really is not rooted in God. God never created no nonprofit, no organization, no religion. God said, let it be, and that's it. And he said, submit that will unto me. And so when you put God first, and you say, God, exalt me to be the Prince of Peace or a great unifier, a great provider for my family. You get up off that ground and you start working, God start opening those doors up for you. You start growing like a tree.
Is it unfair for me to say that people aren't into God? They're not really. They're just afraid of death and hell.
No, they don't know God.
That's what it is. You can't be into something you know nothing about.
Yeah,
that's mathematically impossible.
You gotta understand that the religious freedoms and how we was colonized was through religion. You know, we had the Vatican who oversees, and the queen that oversees the Vatican created 44,000 different religions and nationalism, where we one human family.
And then we don't even question how did these people get in position? Who gave them say so?
They killed you. Same thing. When they told us we didn't, people, black folks don't know how to read and write. Well, when we did, guess what? We got murdered. So your parents, my great-grandparents, them, who was being murdered because they didn't want them to learn how to read, you better not know how to read, boy. You know what I'm saying? So it was something that was a part of our historical condition.
Yeah, because if you learn how to read, then people got to explain Isaiah 45:7.
Yeah.
When God said he created both evil and good.
Yeah.
Now that needs to be explained.
Well, it has to be explained. And the thing about it is that, like I said, we have to look at the religious council that sits at the Vatican. Because Russia just opened their old vaults.
The Council of Nicaea?
Yeah. Russia just opened their old vaults and showed you that everybody was black. I didn't hear a response from the Vatican because they got a vault too. And like I said, it takes us all the way back when you are like I am. I study wars and conflicts and the chain of custody after the wars. And you start studying empires and the wars between empires, you will understand the chain of custody and why or what we're going through today. But if we don't have that knowledge, you're blinded. Now, someone is misguided.
People don't even know that Russia has never colonized not one thing in Africa.
Never did.
It's never taken over anything.
Only thing Russia did was bad was they participated in the overthrow of the Ottoman Empire that was organized by Britain. Mm-hmm. Britain organized the overthrow of the Ottoman Empire, which took over all their land possessions all over the world. Mm-hmm. Russia participated, the Arabs participated, Zionists participated because the Belfort Agreement. That's how they was over there in 1948. When you start studying all these different things, it'll open your eyes to what the facts is.
Great narrative.
What the facts is.
Now, what had to happen if Salah ad-Din, who was victorious in the crusade, had just kept going? But he stopped.
It takes us back to Hannibal.
Hannibal.
In the overthrow of over the Roman Empire. He went and liberated Italy, France, and Spain from the Romans. And they said his greatest mistake was that he should have went to Rome and finished them off. But he went back to Carthage. It's just a Punic War #1 because they had 2 wars. So while he was over there partying, celebrating, and the people in France and Italy and was all celebrating because they wasn't under control and the skies of being pushed by Rome, you had a general over there in Rome studying Hannibal from a distance. And this is where we get our military prowess from, because Rome came to Carthage, defeated Carthage, and burnt it down. And Hannibal committed suicide when he seen a comet because he thought he was cursed. So this is all historical history about the chain of custody of what people don't do and what they fail to act if you see a threat. If you know this tree is going to produce poison and you don't stop it from the root, then man, you're going to have everybody in the village sick.
So let's put this in chronological time. How does this reflect today's time, Crip and Bloods, Malik? Well, everything we just said.
Well, if I can,
because there's nothing new under the sun.
Nothing new.
The conversations that we have are definitely fortified with civil engagement, and I get that. And it comes from a perspective of American history and the Constitution. But at the end of the day, and the beginning of the morning, the white man is the devil, regardless of time and place.
That's your brother.
And you know, and if he's my brother, this good yin and yang. And their intentions, when they was created by Yaku and them, their intentions was not to be your friend. Mm-mm. Their intentions wasn't to come in and try to do shit right. And for whatever reason that God, Allah, Jesus Christ, Buddha, whatever you call them, decided to place them here as a test for us, then that's what it is. But at the end of the day, Trump, Biden, the House Negro broad he got with him that laugh a lot, at the end of the day, man, it's all about capitalism, separation, and niggas stay in your place. Because we're the stock, we're the commodity. So they're going to go through all kinds of metamorphosis to get to us and to keep us submerged mentally, physically, and spiritually. I mean, anytime somebody can rob you of your God, your religion, make you hate your brother, you's a diabolical motherfucker with an evil heart. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, when we really talk to our people, man, and we have church, this nigga's the devil regardless of time and place, man. And then you got Negroes with him, that's Satan. You know what I mean? So it ain't no big secret, man. We got to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, man. So help me.
So, by the way, this is the Truce.
Yeah, it is the truth. So you got to tell the
podcast,
truth, and that's what the
where we collectively talk to our younger individuals that are caught up in the mainstream of what we know as Damu and Kiwi, Bloods and Crips, and we're just trying to put an understanding based on the truths that has the truth in it.
Thank you.
Like you say, and it represents, like you say, a nation that's on the rise, regardless of the actions and activities of members of the nation. It doesn't represent the nation that it was intended to be, because Crips and Bloods started off as people who was protectors over the community, who protect, and that was the basis of it.
But what if I told you, Dawood, that Raymond Washington wanted us to have political power? He also wanted to have a seat at the table in the city council, and he was pushing towards that. But we got Rosie Greer, we got Bob Simmons, and we got Mayor Tom Bradley, who created the round table meetings. So one of the things that Raymond wanted to do was actually have somebody that was sitting at that table that could speak for the individuals in our communities, whether it was Watts, Compton, or Los Angeles. So nobody seems to talk about that Raymond did actually have a political component attached to what Crippin was about.
Well, like I say, way before
That's lost.
Way before he was a youth, and then you had, like I say, my mother and father who was a part of the movement, Nation of Islam, up under Elijah Muhammad, which grew from 1930, and my daddy got involved in the 40s, and he met my mother in 55 in California because he migrated from Cleveland, Ohio to here, and he met my mother in Watts. They got married, and the movement grew. The movement grew. You know what I'm saying? The movement definitely grew, and so that was the influencer, because you had all these different movements that was influencing the younger generation, and they wanted to find their own way and of establishing a movement. And so the younger generation, like I say, formed through Raymond all these different ways to protect the community, because they was grassroots, boots on the ground. They the ones that had to stand up against the spook hunters, against all the homeowner white associations who was trying to come into South Central, because the West Side, Compton, Long Beach was all considered suburbs. My parents was, walking around, and this is in the 40s, the 50s and 60s. And so these are the reports and things that I got. So that younger generation, which is my brothers, because I had an older brother that was same age as Raymond, who walked with Raymond. And what he was telling us was basically that's what it was all about. The younger generation trying to find their own identity, outside the original civil rights movement. And so it eventually became something negative, what I'm saying, after the swell over over the swell of the black population during World War II, whereas in LA it was only 40,000. By the time that was during 1940, by the time we got to the 1970s, our population numbers have swelled to 650,000.
Yeah, well, that was due to the industrial
complex for the military production.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? War
and
production.
also we had Goodyear, you had General Motors, you had Firestone,
yes,
and you had all these
iron and all
iron,
that, yeah.
Jergensen Steels,
making
American Steels,
all weaponry for World War II to support the action that was going on in Germany. You know
Alcoa, rather.
Yes.
Yeah, so you had all these different industries that was now, booming in the Los Angeles area.
Yes.
So, there was a lot of migration. And not to count out the port.
Yes.
As that was also,
you talking about from First Street, downtown LA, all the way to the ports of San Pedro, but you talk about Central Avenue, which everybody was on this side, and Alameda, and everybody was in between this whole corridor. Because the first original black community started out downtown LA. Mm-hmm. Then when Watts opened up with the development of the housing project developments in 1955, black folks migrated down to Watts. Then they migrated down to Compton after the civil rights and the assassination of Martin Luther King and the civil rights of fair housing. So white flight had begun, and so that's how a lot of our people started.
Yeah, and white flight was actually realtors playing games with in the minds of white people, because once again, money became the optic, because what they were doing was telling them about black people were coming, and they became white flight. They became frightened, so they undersold those properties.
Well, and they were scared because after that riot and everything got to burning, they flighted. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They flighted, and they got out of there
because I know when we first moved on 1111 North Spring in Compton, which was on the east side of Compton, on the opposite side of the Alameda tracks, we was like the second or third black family on that block.
Yes.
There was the Goldsteins, the Weinbergers, and the Silvers. Those are the type of people that was living in
George Bush grew up in the Santa Fe Gardens.
Yeah. So
you know what I'm saying? So that's just tell you, because we got to understand that a lot of these family names, the Kennedys, the Bushes, the Trumps, and everybody else, the Gettys, all these people came here for one thing: the Rothschilds, gold, the mineral rights, oil, and agriculture, because it wasn't happening in Europe. This was here.
Right.
And so all these people got their start here, and these industries that still existing, they still tied to them. And so it's like, they took over a lot of these different industries, and they still control these industries right now today. And so it's that, the American blacks here was unaware, and them things didn't have no value. Just like when they discovered gold, John.
So let me ask you this question, Doc. Why is our people so uninterested in things that can be helpful to them, but they seem to be where these people are planning 3 and 4 generations? Black people are preparing for Saturday night.
That's us, and that's why when we talk about why we are subjected to labor, because it was all blacks once upon a time. And we was rulers, we was controllers of civilization. We taught people how to drink water, how to cure themselves from malaria, all these other beautiful things. We was the fathers and mothers of civilization. But what happened was that we wasn't really taking full responsibilities of what's been created today if the white folks didn't grab hold to us. One thing the white folks did was made our ass work and build and expand and grow and do other things. Because even like in right today, in the Jordan Downs and the housing project developments, black folks will sit there until they die on the porch talking about nothing. And if you tell them, hey man, it's gentrification coming, all this stuff is coming, they just looking at you. They rather just sit back and chill because that's uninteresting to them because they're a natural thing. White folks honor and value certain things that has material attainment because it gives them value. That didn't give us value, you know what I'm saying, because we was conditioned a certain way. Our culture was a certain way.
So it's social conditioning.
It was different. So, you know, it goes all the way back to our ancestral base. When you go start looking at way prior to slavery and all that stuff, you start looking at tribes and all and what they was doing, they was just designated in a certain area. You know what I'm saying?
Drake coming in, Drake.
Social condition.
OVO, definitely wait. Sorry, I'm late. I'm sorry, I'm late, but I got a rap career. I had to contact the nigga out there in the rainforest, the other panda. You know, we just moved to San Diego, so it was a little bit on the freeway. I bought some of these niggas want some organic shit, and I'm a rapper.
I see you got
what time is it?
I'm rising.
Where did you? Drake, I'm interested in knowing how did you get a gold medal? Where did you get your gold medal in?
In San Diego, because we just got the panda from China. Hold on, Drake, are you there? OVO. we going from owl to pimping and pandering. Pimping and pandering. Drake, did you sign right here? Yeah, sign right there. Puffy got the new label. Did you get the ink pen? Okay, all right. Good.
Drake, can you tell us how you happened to win a gold medal and what did you win your gold medal in?
It's called the Masked Singer.
The Masked Singer, okay.
This is Drake's new career. Maybach music, Maybach with a Flavor Flav twist. My label 360 deal got me this. And if it don't work out, if it don't fit,
you must have quit.
If the motherfucker,
can you breathe in that thing?
I can see your ass. I see my shit on the floor. And Trump, if you'd have had a head this big, there, knocked you. But this is called the Trump Don't Get Hit helmet. So if it don't fit, wait,
you must have quit.
You must have quit. Step this way. Hold on, let me get Drake on the phone before we get back to a regular program. Drake, Masked Singer, sign right here. Ahmed them got the contract. Hello? This sign is you can come through this flag, me and the Crips and Bloods ain't gonna do nothing. Hello? Okay. Now back to the Truce Gang Show. Press like and subscribe. This is really Drake coming undercover. He couldn't go make it to Pierce Morgan. Drake, you just got to San Diego. Didn't China just give us some pants?
So, hey Malik, what is Drake? Is he a Malik? Is he a
Don't say
blood
my
or...
name like that. I'm undercover.
Okay, my
What the fuck is
bad.
you doing?
OVO.
OVO. He from Compton. He trying to call Kendrick Lamar.
Is he a Crip of blood, man?
Huh?
Is he a Crip of blood?
We don't. Do you see this colors? It's the same colors the police car, black and white. Don't ask me no shit like that. OVO. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. This is the first thing they gave a nigga when he did the Public Enemy song that moved black people. A clap. So that's it, y'all. I'll be back. Let me get my
Thank you for that performance, OVO.
No, nigga, this was some weed I bought here. It's called panda weed from China.
So Drake, the essentials is the fear of God. Do you believe in God?
All depends on how your head turns. It's some exorcist shit right here. Motherfucker, I start spitting out vomit right now. You'll stop asking me some stupid ass shit like that. I spit out some motherfucking vomit if I get down here right now and spin this motherfucker around. Get your ass like this. Yeah, nigga.
Hey man, that's spooky.
Ask nigga I believe in God is like asking a nigga to believe in the postman. You niggas steal more checks. Y'all still want to know stealing checks. So look here, y'all tune into the show. This is great mass singer, made pop music.
Where's Nick Cannon?
Oh, that's Nick Cannon.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Drake did the song made pop music. Was Rick? This is the new job. So you know, it's called the OJ Pimpin' and Pandering Rapper. Wait, what is it again, Don?
Pimpin' and Pandering Rapper.
Pimpin' and Pandering OJ Rapper. With the weed. I'm gonna bring my syrup next week.
Panda and Pimpin'.
Pimpin' and pandering.
Man, you Panda Express, brother.
No, fuck it. Exorcist pandering. It's like you mad, your head just go out like this. Bitch so fat look like she walking towards your ass. She walking away. That is stupid.
I mean, you just take us back when we was talking about, assassinations.
Yeah, don't worry about don't pay me no mind because I gotta keep my glove on, because OJ and Crips and Blood.
So we're talking about assassinations.
Yeah, assassinations. Hey, what is our experiences of dealing with assassinations? Have we ever been put in that situation
Trump,
where
duck. Sorry, man, I didn't mean to interrupt the bro. CIA, you wake up, put the donuts down. Now, see, he was the right selection because he was the right complexion. Me and your black ass would have been the wrong selection because we the wrong complexion. We wouldn't have been able to get through them rooftops and with no gun. A nigga can't even get in the spot with a ticket. How you get on the roof with an AR-15? He had one of these special radio. Trump! Yeah, so this is what Tommy Mottola gave me. And DJ Vlad and them when I went on their show. See, Mel, your show don't hand out no motherfucking gold rap. See, the niggas that produced this show, they wrote the 360 deal, right? So they gave me this and this.
Leor Cohen.
Yeah, they gave me this. All right, so back to it, fellas. I'm sorry, but I'm American, but I just had to show you. I was just signed to...
I tell you guys about that red and blue. You got to watch that. It's more American than anything.
No, nigga, but you see it's got some gold in the middle with some other shit now. We ain't just looking for no red, white, and blue. There's cocaine and gold.
Malik, have you ever escaped death?
Have I escaped death? Hell yeah. Every time I walk out my house, I'm looking for a nigga to kill me. A black man. I done been shot at, been in shootouts, escaped death. I done burnt up in fires. I done had bullets whistle past my ass walking on that east side, aimed at your ass, go by your ear like this. That's how I wanted to see if Trump's story was real. Because them motherfuckers come by whistling. Especially them 308s and them 223s and them little 22s. They come by your ass, did like that. So Trump, your shit went poof. But that nigga kept his head on swivel because the niggas told him that, right? When he been visiting before the election shit up in the Bronx, so he not a bob and weave. It's real in the field, man.
No, it's definitely real.
You know, whatever happened, man, Trump, the book you read and we wrote.
Yeah.
Everything you live in, we live every day. I walk out my house every day. I don't look for no white boy to kill me. I'm looking for you to shoot me. You to shoot me.
What happened at the million? What happened at the 100,000 million march?
Oh, when they tried to assassinate you? That nigga came out, we doing a 100,000 man march. We had Stevie Wonder and everything. I gotta tell him this part though. That nigga Daude was at the house. It was real in the field. Cause you know, when you step into that mainstream, that activism, you that nigga, he was on some heavy Al Sharpton mixed with a little fire kind of nigga. I came to get him for him.
Not Al Sharpton.
Yeah, but I came to get him 4 in the morning, right? So when I came to get him, I came to get Daude. The nigga had the mega Evan Sam Cook pants on the sleeves right here. With the top shit, they gave me a suit that was a funeral suit that they give all the niggas in their hood. Cause they pass it around, they had the nerve to come get it back. Them niggas hunt me down to get a suit that they needed to bury another nigga in that they gave to me that they got from another nigga. Anyhow, don't get no suits, some gang bang suits, cause it's a used funeral suit. So Daude came out, the nigga was in the security, we had him on blocking for the bullets. That nigga got to the million man march, the 100,000 man march. A little nigga just like Trump was over there. He rolled by, he seen Daude, he said, pew! Shot at his ass. That at the 100,000 man march trying to kill us. Trying to kill me, Stevie Wonder, this nigga. Who else was there that they tried to kill? For real, this real talk. So we know what assassinations is like when you try to do good.
And we didn't move.
Didn't move. Man,
Just like that crowd didn't move and freeze. That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because if that was a concert, you hear one firecracker, it's a stampede. And so we was, like I said, we was at an event, and I understand what Trump is going through because we went against the status quo.
Yeah.
Because we was tired of being manipulated, used, and exploited by all the preachers and politicians and everything. And we created this grassroots thing where we was trying to get these people to now come back and support us.
Yeah, the 100,000 man march.
The hood first. It was
How did y'all
first.
get hooked up with the likes of Al Sharptongue, though?
We didn't get hooked up with them.
They was part of the opposition.
Yeah.
I mean, we had opposition because we was calling everybody out, man. Because we felt that over the years and over the decades, people have been using us as Bloods and Crips, getting a lot of money, but the money never trickled down to the neighborhoods. And so we come up with a concept and an idea was this is going to be a grassroots movement. We just had the Million Man March. We supported the Million Man March in tons. We supported every religious institution and every preacher in tons. And they get the resources, and sometimes the resources don't trickle back down. So we started calling people out. And so we was on this thing where we had called Nike out. I put together a coalition of street organizations, Bloods and Crips, the Mexican Mafia. So I had a coalition of 100 different sets and individuals, and we was going after Nike for $50 million, or else we was going to burn Nike. Because we did a research on every time we went by a crime scene, we went and talked to some of the homies who was drug
They
dealers
had a
in
pair of
the community.
Nikes on.
The drive was for Nike. Then we looked at TV, people fighting for the Nikes, and we was like, hey, it's time for Nike to step to the table, because we researched that Phil Knight and the Nike organization didn't have no manufacturing plants. None of their businesses, none of their jobs was created here. They just had an administration facility out in Oregon, and all their work all the work in producing the shoe was done in Thailand with cheap slave labor.
Yeah.
And we out here, they took them about $6 to $7 to buy the Nike, but when it got to the American shores, the Nike with Michael Jordan face on it was $100 to $200. And guess who's buying them shoes in raves?
Black
Poor
people.
people in the ghettos who are living in disadvantaged communities where the average per income a year is $15,000. You can't afford a $200 pair of shoes unless you was doing crime. And most of the people who drape themselves out in these brands and stuff, we go by a crime scene. We look at the bottom of the shoe up under the white carpet. And they got a Nike on.
Or he died trying to get some money
Or
to buy
died
some
trying
Nike.
to get the Nikes. And so we called Nike out. And we brought them to the table. We brought their top second person in command besides Phil Knight. His name was Vader Manager. And we brought them to the table. Now and behold that Nike's been given to certain people in our communities that we don't know that they was given. And they're supposed to be giving this money to the people in the community from the disadvantaged, the poor people. A lot of this money is not being trickled down
Dispersed.
and be able to have an impact. And so we called them out. And when we called them out, it's like we poked the bear. And man, we created this thing. We was going to do
So that triggered assassinations?
that triggered assassination.
Damn right.
Blackballing. I ended up going to the federal penitentiary because we had an organization. We was the first neighborhood that had an organization that was doing over $3 to $4 million in grants and contracts. And we was behind all these other intervention organizations, Unity One, Venice 2000, and helping them set up their organizations after the gang Truce. And when I mean that, for my actions, because it wasn't my brother Keita, because I got another brother Keita who was the executive director of an organization. He had no problems. I had the problem because I was out here. I was the squeaky wheel out here. I was in everybody's face. Steve Harvey, everyone, and it just, man, they tried to assassinate us when we did the event. First, they assassinated our characters, saying that we was trying to get this money to line our own pockets. You know what I'm saying? Then it came that we was, taking this money.
Why is it they're accusing you of what they actually do?
Because it was a character assassination for the assassination to get me disliked in the community so I can go to jail or either getting killed and there ain't no outcry.
Yeah.
And so that's the whole method of how we align ourselves with what Trump is going through when you're going against the status quo, who's controlling the purse. And he's calling out the globalists who is controlling the economy. You got 5 people that owns more property, more food than the whole American population, and there's a monopoly over it.
JBL, Brazil.
In order for you to get in, you got to come with 10 million. In order for you to get into the media, you got to come with 4 million, 4 billion, 2 billion. And if you don't come with it, then they're going to assassinate your character, P. Diddy, Bill Cosby. Then they're going to assassinate you. Bill
Jackson.
Cosby's son.
Michael Jordan.
You know, and everybody else
James Brown.
who poked the bear.
Prince.
We was poking the bear on the grassroots level, trying to save lives. We was trying to create peace and unity, and we needed the resources to sustain what we was doing. And all the bags was being held by the people who break the peace.
Well, I don't know how I poked the bear. I've always been a free thinker and a forward thinker, you know, and through my experience, I've never been necessarily nailed down by any particular ideology or religiosity. I've always just been able to see things in terms of where I can win. And from my experiences that during my time, they had the Stony Boys, the Jump Out Boys, the Vikings, the Liberators, the Banditos, the Wayside Whiteys, and it don't matter the name of them, but they all been weaponized to look for people like yourself, me, Malik, and other individuals.
For those that don't know, that's the sheriff's department
that pokes the bear, so to speak. So in 1989, February the 14th, they tried to get me as well, and they shot at me about 20 to 30 times, and I don't know right to this day how they missed, you know, because they were in a van and I was in a car, and they pulled up on the side, and they never said they was this agency or that agency. They just started unloading on me, and I just pulled off on them. You know, I managed to get the car again, pulled off. Man, when I was able to get free from that circumstance, it was just temporary. The moon roof had clapped on my head, the back windows, the side windows, and everything, and they was, you know, and at that point of turning corners and trying to get away, I realized that it was both the sheriffs, the Compton, and whoever else was after me. And at this point, I had a young lady that was with me. She was pleading for me to stop, but my adrenaline was flowing. There was no stopping, you know, unless something prevented me from going to where I was trying to get to. But anyway, long story short, yeah, I can see where you're going, because after that circumstances, I actually beat it based on, because I took a judge trial, and the judge was saying that they violated my Constitution. Based on everything that happened that day, the judge, because had I not have picked a judge, because now I'm holding the judge responsible, because the judge has to go by what? The Constitution and the law.
Yes.
And by me picking that, I eliminated the cross between my attorney and the prosecutor and all these other people. They couldn't cross me up. And I prevailed in that. But long story short, even after they wound up convicting me on one thing, something that I did actually do. It was receiving stolen goods, right? I went in, I took a 18-month deal, right? Went into 18 months. Upon release, it was maybe 3 or 4 days. I'm coming out the back door of my father's house on Spring Street. And that same brown car that apprehended me that day and took me in, they took me in like in an unmarked car. Most people go in black and white. For some reason, they threw me in an unmarked car. And they took me in, and then that same brown car pulled up 3 or 4 days after I got released. And they pulled at the inner driveway, and they pointed like this. They pointed their fingers and started squeezing. They started squeezing. I was like, wow. And immediately I got up out of there for, you know.
So a lot of people thinking that this work, what we do, trying to stop people from killing each other, is an easy process. And the reason why it takes so long, because there's so much invested into us killing each other. And it's been incentivized by law enforcement agencies, because a lot of this work represents their retirement. By us being in the database and committing crimes, that represent the future of more law enforcement being hired when they call for 100 law enforcement officers. So when we poke the bear or talk about peace and unity and trying to bring people into the fold and bringing public safety back to the communities, that's like poking the bear. So they're gonna assassinate our characters in doing so. Like I say, we had an organization that we was doing over $4 million in grants and contracts, providing services and setting up programs, safe passes, and life mastery skills with Jim Brown's curriculum. And you think this is a good thing. And we had a 99% success rate. We drove violent crime down 40%, gang violent crimes. You know, and you're thinking people will call you. You think we'll get a Nobel Peace Prize, but instead they attacked our characters. The organization that we had, CSDI, they dissolved it, which took our money away, like they're trying to take Trump money away. To eventually, if they didn't kill me, I went to prison. Because when you take a person's livelihood away, and at that time I had children and I was a father and I was still doing the things that I was supposed to do because I had responsibilities. When someone take that livelihood away and then they start setting up red flags where you can't go through no doors, they giving you the ultimatum, either you die or go to prison.
Or we kill you.
Well, I went to prison.
We also have to understand, Daude, Malik, that we part of the 5%, you know, and the 5% is the individuals that's informative, the individuals that are free thinkers of things. We need to see things in the terms of which we see them. Then there's the 1% who run the world. Then there's the 4% who helps the 1%, and then there's the other 90% who are asleep, who are literally just sleeping and walking. So we're only 5% of us that understands fully what's going on, but we're a minority. We're an endangered species.
Let's look at the bags, because everybody talk about the bag. What's the bag?
What is the bag? A body bag?
Why is this? What's the bag over the Crippin' blood?
Hold on, Baldu. When did that word come around though? Because that's relatively new.
Yeah.
Because we always looked at having money, stacks, bread, cheese, guap. You know, we always refer to it in different terms. But now, why is it a bag?
That's because it's a matter of semantics. And, you know, at the end of the day, like for real, and I'm quite sure the sentiment that I'm feeling is felt around this room. And I'm going to look into that camera right there and say it. I'm so motherfucking sick and tired of our people disrespecting God first. I'm so sick and tired about people killing each other. I'm so tired of that stupid ass shit. You know, all the dumb shit, that riding around just looking for another. Man, just stop for 1 second. Do a Michael Jackson, be that man in the motherfucking mirror. Aren't y'all tired of that bullshit? Your own fucking, it's like it's up to the horse's bridle, the blood. Stop! It is the most niggified, sickening shit and insidious disease you could ever imagine. At the end of the day, man, fuck a podcast, the Rolls Royces, the rappers, and your basketball, your political views. Motherfucker, stop killing black people. We are sick and fucking, the killers is tired of the killers killing each other. Stop, man. I'm sick of this shit. We got to run from whitey over here because they want to knock. Then you got to go over here with this black motherfucker. Then the police. And then we like a fucking wild rabbit running through a fucking lion den. And not, excuse my language, add some more motherfuckers. Nigga, stop. Before you pick up a gun and use it, pick up a phone. Just stop. We look like some goddamn fools practicing some shit that they taught us from beyond slavery. 400 years ain't shit. Just stop. I'm fucking sick of it, man. I don't give a fuck about no Crip blood, your rep. Stop raising our babies to be murderers of their own people. It's sickening.
Who's raising these kids?
Man, the niggas, you're supposed to raise chickens and dogs and rear children. So I want to know, that's a rhetorical question. But just stop. Stop with that trying to give the homie glorify. Man, you's a killer. You know he's a scientist.
Here's why it can't stop. Here's why it can't stop.
Oh, we know that.
Because it's an industry.
Yeah, so it's a business.
You talk about $300 billion annually invested into what we saying stop.
Yeah, man.
So there's an opposing force against you telling them to stop. So you become a target once you put yourself in the business of trying to stop them, because Here's $300 billion over here. Who's eating off this money? Law enforcement, prisons, probation, hospitals, and everything.
Morticians.
You know what I'm saying? Insurance companies. So when you say it's easy for us to say stop because we have no value. There's no dog and there's no fight in it for us because it benefits us for us not killing each other. But the opposing forces who are eating off this, who's retired, who's got a $100,000 salary,
pensions,
they keep saying go, and then when you don't go, they pay somebody $100,000 and he become a provocative agent or a CI or a foreman, and he'll get down here and he'll rubber rouse, and they back at it again, and that 300 million goes up to 350 billion. So we have to look at this as a business. I got into this as a business. You know, I set up nonprofit for-profits around this because it's a business, and I'm competing against prisons, probations, big law enforcement budgets, and insurance companies. And it's dangerous because these are killers and kings. And they try to keep that bag going because when they retire, hey man, that's a part of that 300 billion. When they need a new officer, that's a part of that 300 billion. So it's easy for us to say, stop! But you gotta mean what you say. You have to set up, you got to strategize and set up organizations, and you got to demand that $300 billion to go into what we're doing for sustainability for people to stop.
You know what I like?
Other than that,
you know I like the president. What's his name? Fasco, the brother.
Ibrahim.
The brother that's out there in Africa with the little
South
thing.
Africa.
Burkina Faso.
Yeah, he look like Dr. Khalid Muhammad. He be coming in the door.
Ibrahim.
Dr. Khalid Muhammad, that's a good.
Yeah. Dr. Khalid Muhammad, he be coming in the door talking shit, but he building roads, water wells. How he fucking with your boy Putin?
Yeah.
He's getting it. Young. They stay threatening. He's putting out all the coon slaves. He building highways, agriculture. I'm really proud of you, bro. I salute you, man. And any human being that's looking out for human beings, because we not
Burkina Faso. Shouts out to the president, brother Ibrahim in Burkina Faso.
So
man, that brother down
do
there
your
in South
thing.
Africa, man, he got white people down there.
that's Burkina, and he in Ghana too or some shit.
Yeah, he a part of that region.
Niger, but he's
competing with Nigeria. He's competing with all these other countries who are, like I say, you know,
colonized.
We looked at it as far as a financial supporter. Everybody has to have the financial support, whatever their vision is, to be able to have an impact on certain things. It just don't happen by us just talking. That's, you know, by us giving that empowerment through God's grace, it allows us to go. But a lot of stuff in corporate America, you need financial backing to really have an impact. And the thing is that his country wasn't backed by the United Nations. I'm not the United Nations, the United Kingdom and their affiliates, because Africa is divided upon that because of a colonization. And so he's backed by Russia. And so now he's getting information and technology and all that stuff to feed his people based upon them. But where's Britain? You know, where's Britain in this? Why Britain is not replicating everything that this guy doing when it comes to independence?
Whatever, he ran the French out of getting on the plane.
Ran the French out.
Tell him get the fuck up out of here. See, at some point, man, you know, I'm just gonna say, man, at some point, you just gotta keep on fasting. Keep on praying, and to God be the glory.
God be the glory.
Thank you, Carl. That's all I'm gonna say. Molly Bell, straight out of Compton.
Molly Bell, straight out of Keys Alton. Queen Molly.
You got to keep fasting, keep praying, and to God be the glory. And after all that, she say, "Thank you, Carl."
God is giving all glory. So you know. What motivates me to keep me going is because I have that faith in God. And when you supplicate and you submit a will to God, you know, I pray to God to bless me to be successful and out here in unifying our people, giving me our knowledge and articulation to articulate knowledge, because it's about knowledge and what people have to know other than education, because education just stimulates you. Knowledge moves you. And so we have to give our people knowledge on how to feed themselves, on how to really safeguard their communities, how to draw down on the sources of funding.
Why do you think that our people need like an intercessor or a middleman to make that happen, to make that request to the Almighty, the Creator of the heavens and earth and all between? Why do you think our people believe that they need someone in the middle of that to make that happen.
They've been totally defeated. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you ain't
It's
got
like
nothing else to call
intercessor
upon other than God,
you know,
because there's nothing greater. Because
right.
spiritual wickedness is another form of deity. And
there
when you have
to
false
be,
deities, you know, it's
a psychophilosophical vehicle, intellectual, spiritual, and intellectual enslavement that has 3 ends. Underestimate, undervalue, and marginalize our people. It's a culture conditioning that our people don't fully understand, and they get just caught up in this rapture, you know, because most of the people go to religious services because they in love with the pastor or something, and the pastor is, you know, he's such a smooth sayer, you know, and they get caught up in that, you know.
Well, it's a community, it's a congregation. Being a part of the Nation of Islam and my family, you know, it was a membership type setup, you know, and we contribute weekly to the Nation of Islam bottom line, and it was a community. We had houses, we had farmland, we had everything. We had schools, and we had it was a nation. And with Elijah Muhammad, the leader at the time, you know, he was in tune with the movement of Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, and then he met Fard Muhammad, who was appeared to be fair-skinned person, whose mother was white, whose daddy was black, whose daddy was ostracized and murdered, just like we was over here, by the colonization of Africa and all these countries before a lot of their independence, by the British Empire, because I told you about the Ottoman Empire, which was an Islamic state that was ran by black folks who were squashed. That goes all the way up to World War I, when America participated in all this stuff. America never got nothing out of the deal. Same thing with World War II. We never got nothing out of the deal. It was deals being made. It was things that's happening.
After the Vietnam War, brothers didn't get
never
nothing
got
but a
nothing
radio.
out of the deal. And that's why Trump said, if we're going to go in and fight in Iraq, we taking the oil. Because we don't never get nothing out of the deal. We go over there, we send our troops over there, and we lose hundreds of thousands of individuals, come back to America, we didn't get nothing out of the deal. All of our veterans are homeless, on the streets, on drugs. Some of the black ones who came back couldn't even get their houses, their jobs back, because we had all these foreigners who fled their own country like cowards and yellow bellies, like General Patton would say, suckers and cowards, fled over here while our people went and laid their life down and didn't get nothing out of the deal. And so I believe in what Trump said. If we're going to go to war, if you're going to send us to war, you want us to go over here and take Ukraine back and take all that back, well, American citizens, that's including all nationalities, black, red, white, if you're American, we control this energy field. We're not giving it to a few selective people that are living in this country who don't send their kids nowhere to do no fighting. But you right here benefiting off the spoils of it. Every war has something that people get out of it. It's not just we fighting because we don't like each other. That's bull crap. America have engaged and been the protector over the whole globe. Our kids are on the front line. Malik kids on the front line. My kids are on the front line. But they brothers and sisters out here are homeless. Can't get a meal. Can't get none of that. And the people that we fighting for that's over here as national citizens are reaping all these benefits, living in big old mansions and houses, controlling your economy. Then you got to go beg them, and they have an opportunity to tell you no. So it's like, you know, we got to get things out of these deals. It's about rewriting certain deals and be able to be beneficiary if I'm going to go lay my life on the line. I'm not laying my life on the line if there's no benefit.
Well, the benefit of this show, the Truce, is that you get supreme knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from Brother Daude, Mel, myself. You get a taste of how we feel comedically as well as spiritually and physically. This show may not have the motion that you used to on this particular day because there's a lot of serious situations taking place in the world today. Technology falling apart, airplanes coming out the sky. So sometimes on these shows, we have to address issues that may not be as Saturday morning friendly, but it'll be a little better on a Sunday or a Monday. So absorb the knowledge. And like the brother said, you know, we're the 5%ers, the poor righteous teachers. Then you got the 10%ers, the bloodsuckers of the poor. Then you got the 85%ers who are the blind, deaf, and dumb and easily led to slaughter. That's our people. So 85 plus 10 and 5, that's 100%. So the job of the 5% is to teach the 85% is civilization. Meaning that the 10%ers is the Hollywood, the this, the that, the corporations. Those are the bloodsuckers of the poor, the boule. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's all about which side are you on of history, the right side or the wrong side. Has nothing to do with your personal philosophy. Brother Mel, myself, and Daude, we got enough game right here to open up a casino in Vegas. So we ain't tripping. You know what I'm saying? And my last words as always is, where your mama at? Tell them downstairs I got baby oil on my chair. The Truce, baby. Stay positive, ever forward, never backwards. Daude.
Well, you know, it's all of what it is. You know, like I say, you know, using this platform to really reach out and extend this information. You know, and it's a learning thing because you know you have to reaffirm what's been said and you have to confirm what's been said. So that takes the audience to go open up a book. Something that we don't like to do is research and find out the truth about things. And so this podcast and this platform is what it's about. You might hear some things that, well, I ain't never heard that before. Well, go research it because that's how you're gonna, you know, reaffirm yourself that you know and you're on the right path. And outside that, you know, man, you're caught up in this cycle where you might become collateral damage in this whole process of this transition that's taking place in this country and throughout this world. You know, it's our time, and like I say, you know, it's what it is.
Yeah, Brother Mel.
Man, you can go anywhere in the world to get a couple of lies, but you come right here to get the truth. The truth. Tell them that we coming. Just tell them that we coming. Lock it in. Lock the door.
Because the game is going to send you a bill.